If Ken was still around and Hoonigan was still what it was, do you still think that you would be there?
I'm Vinanatra. I make videos on the internet about cars.
This is actually the least dangerous road we're going to be driving today.
I'm too embarrassed to fail because like Hoonigan's trajectory was just like plummeting into the ground. They took something I loved and ruined it. We were once like the kings. We were at the top. We were signed up to be there till the end of time. Hoonigan was stronger than ever after Ken passed because we all felt like we owed it to Ken to make it work.
I hate to ask you, but how did you find out that that had happened?
We were all about to get in an Uber to go to Australia when we heard the news. The thing about Ken that made his passing shocking was
Vin, 10 years ago, you jumped at the opportunity to work at a seemingly just maybe a t-shirt brand, and yet you're now recognised by millions of faces across the globe in an industry that you are super passionate about. But in your own words, who are you and what do you do?
I'm Vinanatra, and I make videos on the internet about cars.
Now, you've always made videos on the internet about cars. We've always seen your face since you began in cars, since you began at that t-shirt brand. But now you make them on a channel that's actually named after yourself. Now, to get there, where did that begin? Was it the moment that you joined that seemingly just a t-shirt brand, which ended up being Hoonigan, or was it far beyond there, far back into your past that started?
I would say it's actually the exact opposite of what you just mentioned, because when I worked at Hoonigan, I never thought that I would have went on to go do my own thing. So for me, I remember I had this crossroads in my life, and it was either I go do my job, like I had a big behind the scenes job at Hoonigan, and I was also a face of the brand on the content. So I either like be a personality on the channel or do my desk job. And I was like, it's going to be way more successful to do my desk job, so I'm going to do that. So I never actually planned to be like a personality, be someone on the internet more than just kind of like a face at Hoonigan. And then the reason why I made that one video was because optically people didn't understand that we had desk jobs and Hoonigan was this big thing that was actually like 80 employees and owned by a private equity company and like this big piece, right? They just saw us on the internet. And I didn't want people to think that we were just trashing this company because like Hoonigan's trajectory was just like plummeting into the ground. And we were once like the kings. We were at the top and it was just crumbling. And I felt, we all did, all the hosts, all the people who were on camera were like, man, we don't want to be associated with like the downfall of the brand. So I went out and I was like, you know what? I'm going to quit my job. I want to get the hell out of here. And I just want to let all the fans know, like all the Hoonigan fans know, like what I'm doing, why I'm leaving, like what's going on, being really amicable about it. But like, just kind of like put my message out there of like, I'm leaving the brand. Here's why. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do next. And I got like 60,000 subs off of that video. And it did like 1.5 million views. And I was like, huh. Maybe I'll make some YouTube video.
Because in that video, you said you really didn't know what was going on.
No.
That you were about to take your first vacation in ages, going out to Japan to figure out what was going on. Was it that video? Did that blow up while you were kind of on that trip in Japan? You were like, oh, this kind of answers my question a little bit.
Yeah, it was kind of like, it gained a lot of traction. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I still hadn't really considered it. I actually left Hoonigan and took a job at Haggerty doing what I did at my previous job at Hoonigan, which was like business development. So doing partnerships, you know, that's where I made a lot of money. I learned how to do this very well. And I took another job. So my thing was like, I'm going to do this job. I'm going to do some like side jobs and like consulting, kind of figure out what I want to do. And then like, I mean, not that you could really make a great living off like 60,000 subs, but I was like, man, maybe there's something here, you know? And when I got back from my vacation, I was like, I'm gonna make some videos.
I've read a lot about your story and followed a lot of the videos and watched that very video that you're telling me about. And something that kind of came through to me was some of us are like on the corner of the street selling stuff from the age of 5, or the kid that sells sweets out of their backpack at school. And like they have this entrepreneurial flair from like a super young age in them. Would you say that because you're running the channel, which is running a business, running your own brands and everything now, have you kind of been forced into being a business owner and solo content creator through the choices that you've made and the jobs that you've taken? Or do you think it was always in there to kind of have your own thing?
I think it was always in there to have my own thing because I was always like a hustler, like as a kid, I always wanted cool bikes and then cool cars, and I never made a lot of money. So I was always like kind of figuring out my way how to like wheel and deal and sell things and do whatever to make extra money. And I was kind of used to it, but over the last decade, I grew accustomed to like working in this big company with like a big team of talented people who, you work alongside of to do something great. And yeah, doing your YouTube thing is like, for me, I think you could do it a lot of ways, right? You can start a YouTube channel and you can just make videos and and get ad rev and be broke because ad rev pays nothing. Sorry, guys. Then there's like, you could do some ads, you could do some merch, whatever. But, coming from a big brand that literally like exploded when we did our YouTube channel, I was like, well, I know all the pieces of how to do a YouTube channel and make it successful. So I'm just going to kind of attack it like that, but like super scaled down. I mean, it's me and Jolly, my media guy. That's it. It's just two of us. And then my fiance, Amy, helps us out on the back end doing like just helping out, right? Like doing all like the back end stuff. So it's like we're a super small team. So I can't compare myself to doing like what we do on a Hoonigan level, but yeah, I kind of like looked at it and was like, I know this is a big undertaking from a business perspective, but there's a lot of fruit in there if you want to get it and do it right.
At Hoonigan, it sounded like throughout the journey, you wore so many different hats, even though it was a big organization. It's basically like doing the same thing now, though, right? Because you've got to wear so many hats to do what you're doing now, but it's just a smaller organization.
Dude, so when I worked there, it was very different, a very different time. Like we were doing YouTube in 2016. The amount of content creators, especially in the automotive space, was like probably 1 millionth as there is today, right? So it was like just a different space. And we all had different jobs in there. So I never made a thumbnail before. I never had the title of video before. Hoonigan never scripted videos. We never really did anything beyond a concept. Like we would come up with concepts and then just like run with it. And now I'm like, oh shit, I have to come up with like full blown like episodes and make them make sense and have a storyline and like do the whole thing.
So figure out how many episodes you need to do to make the project work, make it viable.
Yeah. It's a lot. So it's a huge undertaking to do it well. And I can't say I'm doing it like great. I think I'm making it work, and it's been relatively successful. But so the only thing I think that really holds me back from doing like what we did at Hoonigan for, bigger viewership is like, I don't really want to do crap I don't want to do. And I don't want to really make like clickbaity content. I like pretty boring, subtle builds. Like I have no desire to put like a twin turbo K series in my 360,
which is not what you hear usually Americans saying from a Brit's perspective. For argument's sake, we all think that every single American, the second that they get anything like that, wants to make it 3 billion horsepower.
Yeah, and I think that to explode your channel, you really have to do some like really wild stuff to get notoriety and get people looking. And I've had a pretty decent trajectory of sub growth, and my viewership on the channel is actually really strong for the amount of subs I have, not really doing that outlandish stuff that I don't think has like a ton of value for my life. Like I want to buy cars. I want to build cars I can drive. I want to build stuff I can use. I have no desire of building like YouTube cars. I really don't. And like as a one-man show, it's like I don't have the capacity to build the car, get it done, make it work, and do all that stuff and like have any sort of like meaningful story behind it. So I'm like, I'm holding myself back a little bit in some spaces, but I think that like it's really important to do what you want to do, because the job is, I mean, I work more now than I worked before, like I work easily 50, 60 hours a week, like casually.
Did you think it was going to be like that?
I only make one episode on YouTube a week, and I thought that would be pretty relaxed. And it's not. But I do think that like we don't really make like casual vlogs. So it takes a little bit more effort in everything we're doing and stuff. And I don't think that's the greatest business model in terms of like YouTube success. But I think that the YouTube landscape has changed so much in the last like 7 years that no one's going to sign up to watch another dude do a vlog when you can watch all of the heroes already killing it, right? Like, how am I going to compare to like DDE or Adam LZ or any of these guys who have like this empire of like money and resources and sick cars and whatever? And then it's like,
And you're competing.
and then you want me to do like a
Screen
daily vlog of doing like whatever? Like, I just don't think it'll work. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it.
When we got in this van, you played down everything. You were like, oh, but I'm not sure that I'm like successful, like in the way that you're saying and like all this stuff. But if you wound the clock right back to the day you first joined Hoonigan, who were you back then and what would you think of where you are now?
Man, so my story for that, like real quick, was like I was doing nothing. I mean, I was like 25. I lived at home with my parents, and I was like working other jobs and stuff and didn't really have like a career, you know, like I had like a desk job where I did data analytics and I hated it. And then I quit my job and I got a job at like a body shop doing like writing estimates and stuff for like crashed cars and stuff. So like kind of went from like white collar back to like no collar work type thing.
And why were you there though? Because it sounds like maybe you're a little bit lost. Like,
Oh yeah, I was just
what had got
lost
you
kid.
there?
So when I was younger, me and my brother used to do air ride installs on cars, Volkswagen specifically. So, you know, putting airbags on cars and like slamming them. And we were really good at it. And this was before they made kits. So like they weren't doing like, you know, order a management system and
Yeah.
valve bodies and all stuff and putting them on. It was literally like you're taking coilovers, you're putting universal bags on top of them, you're going to a plumbing supply and you're getting all these brass fittings and you're like making valve manifolds and wiring them up. And we were actually really good at this, and we knew how to make the cars low. We knew the stuff you had to cut. We knew all the things you had to notch and, you know, maneuver to make them like lay frame on the ground and stuff. So we started doing that, and we were like, okay, about time to like go to college, whatever. Let's go and take like business classes so we could open up a shop. And probably like 2 years into that, my brother was like, I'm going to get a real job. And he switched his major to like accounting and got like a job in like accounting and finance and stuff. So I was like, shit, well, I guess I should just like go the normal route and like get like a normal job, get a 9 to 5, do the standard thing, you know? And like at the time I was a younger dude in my friend group, and everyone was kind of like going through college, getting jobs and like doing the thing, right? So I kind of felt like a failure in a lot of ways because I'm like,
I was going to say, did that internally deflate you?
yeah, I was
The
like,
thought thinking that you were going to have to go down that path.
no, I actually was more deflated because I felt like I was behind everyone. So like all my friends were a bit older and like getting situated, and I was like still like figuring it out, and I was kind of like nowhere. And I did this desk job. I didn't really like it. It kind of felt like soul sucking to me. I also had no passion in it. So I was like, whatever. So I got an opportunity to run a body shop. And I was like, okay, at least I got back into cars. This kind of puts me like a little bit back towards my path, like of, you know, owning like a shop one day or something like that. So I did that for maybe a year. And then, yeah, I was kind of sick of it. It wasn't really going anywhere. And then I got the text from Scotto, and he was like, he had started Hoonigan with Ken. And I like adjacently knew him. Like we had met each other maybe once or twice, but we were like, had mutual friends through Volkswagens. And I used to bug these guys all the time because they worked for Ken Block. And I'd be like, yo, give me a job with Ken. Give me a job with Ken. I'll do whatever. And then one day Scotto was just like, hey man, job opening at Hoonigan, marketing coordinator or something. It was like $40,000 a year. And I just like was like, dude, I'm down. I like sent him all my resume and stuff. He never read it. I did like,
Of course, he never.
yeah, I did like a trial like interview thing at E-Town with like, you know, Turk and Forsberg and Hurt and all these guys, and I don't know,
It was
whatever.
probably just to amplify the other equity stakeholders.
Yes, and then we just like, yeah, he made me like offered me the job, moved out to California, and just started doing the thing, just learning on the fly.
It does seem that you have said yes to pretty much every opportunity then that was landed in front of your feet
Yeah,
throughout that, like, and just seeing where it goes.
yeah, pretty much.
Because I always think of life a little bit like a freeway or a motorway.
Yeah.
Like you're going down it and then there's blocks of traffic and then there's a little bit of more like open freedom. But at some point, like something happens, maybe there's a crash, maybe there's a faster route available and you choose to come off. And then that's going to be the exit that you take. Do you think for you that message from Sky was a really significant point where you
100%, yeah, because I wanted to like leave New York where I was, and I didn't really know why, and I didn't know how to leave without having something lined up, so it was like the perfect opportunity. I did say no to one opportunity though. My dad's friend owned like a window company in New York City, and they offered me a job at some like astronomical amount of money to install windows on high-rise buildings.
Have you got a fear of heights?
Hell yeah. I didn't even consider it for a moment. They were like, it was, dude, I mean, when I was younger, I think it was like $100 an hour or something to install windows. And I remember sitting with the dude who owned the company, and I was like, so you do it from the inside or the outside? They're like, yeah, no, outside, like scaffolding, 100 floors up. I was like, no chance.
There's some YouTubers near me called Stella Scaffolding. They're of the same age, and I see them. They're like literally hanging on a pole over the edge of a building, and it's just like one cord. And I'm just like, guys, whatever you even pay yourselves, it's not enough.
No,
it's nowhere near enough.
I didn't even consider it. Like, I love money, and I've always wanted money, and that was not.
But when you put me up high, I'll take a bit less.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll do something more ground level for sure.
So getting into the beginnings at Hoonigan, because people will probably, if they think of you and they think of Hoonigan, they'll probably think of all the times that they've seen you through a screen. Massive smiles, probably involving smoke, like loads of fun, like those moments that make us absolutely fall in love with television and video, and especially real video, because it's, as you said, like videos weren't scripted. They kind of had an idea of what you wanted to do and then they'd go and create themselves. But there was so much more to like your whole experience there in the background of the things that you did than would probably meet the viewer's eye. So what was like the first year or two like within the business?
Well, we didn't do YouTube in the first year or two.
You were doing the merch.
We were just a merch brand that was like did like Instagram and Facebook content. So yeah, it was just like honestly learning. It's crazy. I look back on my photos and stuff, and like within the first year is like already building a C10 pickup to go on Hot Rod Power Tour and like all this stuff. Like it's crazy. It all moved so fast, but I was just kind of learning the industry and learning how to do a lot of this stuff. Like I got brought on as like a marketing coordinator, athlete manager, like product guy, and that kind of just morphed over time. And it just was like, I think I was employee number like 11. So it was like a small team. So it was just like, whatever we have to do, just like do it, whatever you're good at, you'll kind of like fill in that gap. And that'll be like another responsibility you earn, like.
Just a guy wearing multiple hats.
Yeah, I was a jack of all trades for sure. Like, that was my big strength.
When did, like, you mentioned like doing the truck and going on the trip was like a significant moment, but like, when was one of the first moments that you fell in love with being inside Hoonigan?
Oh, I loved it right off the rip. I mean, we had this shitty warehouse in downtown Long Beach, and I had shipped out a Dakar yellow E36 M3. So a car I had when I lived in New York, and I shipped that out. And, that was already here when I had driven out across country in a daily. And, you're sitting at your desk at work with like cool car shit around, and then like my E36 and like Brian's Nova and Hertz RX-7 and like all this stuff is just like sitting right there. I was like, yeah, this is sick. Like, I love this.
And why though? Because I'm going to like take it back again for a second. What was the moment in your earliest years that formed that love for cars, that made doing what you were doing then feel so special?
The Chevelle back there, the car I told you about, my dad's car. So he didn't own that because we didn't grow up like well off. We grew up in Queens and a pretty like lower middle class family area, and my dad loved cars but never was able to have his own fun car. So all I heard about my entire life was how he wanted a 70 Chevelle. That's all he wanted, and that's why I'm building it for him now. So I'm building him like his dream car that I've heard about since I was a kid. But that, like, my dad's like desire for cars and us to always like look at them in like, brochures and looking for them in newspapers and things like that just made me always love cars. So
was that stuff going around like the outskirts of Queens and New York when you were kind of growing up? Was there lots of cars around?
I don't remember any.
Really?
Nothing.
Because now like our world is so full of pictures and videos and everything is there at our fingertips for us to kind of, we almost get immersed in thinking everything's everywhere. I went in car
Mhm.
week and there was literally cars everywhere.
That's true. I
People forget how far away some people's journeys that are involved in that actually start from.
No, we didn't. There's no cars around me. My dad worked for a dealership, same dealership he works at today. All these years later, and he got demo cars. So, which basically means when they got a new car, he would get a new car for like 6 months and then give it back. So he always had like new cars, and none of them were really that sick, but he'd get like, Luminas E34s and like Beretta GTZs and like whatever, right? Never Camaros, never Corvettes, nothing like that. But like, so he always used to get these cars and we would think they were cool and we'd like flip through all the books and stuff about them or whatever. So we just kind of like geeked on cars, but we didn't have any like exposure to cars.
You're talking about the earliest years there. Your memory of cars was in books, like your media for them was in magazines or books. Like that's literally how you absorbed them.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we fast forward to you sat in that position at Hoonigan, you were one of the key people that grew like the social account from like 0 to like over 1 million.
So actually, I took over Hoonigan Social at like 600 and then grew it to like over 1 million. And then we like hired social people and whatever. And that was funny because before, like, I think I had like 70 followers on Instagram. Like, I never used social media before that. And I just kind of got like crash course in it.
Was it from what you'd learned there, or were you just like naturally good at understanding how to do that?
I think I'm just like allergic to, or like I'm too embarrassed to fail. So like I just want to I'm like a dog. Like I just want to like do good for my owner, So like I got a job and they were like, okay, like post on Instagram, and we would have a group chat, and it was like 5 people in the group chat, and like clearly I was the bottom rank and was like, no one's gonna contribute except you. So you're gonna do all of the like come up with the post. So I'd like send a photo and then the copy. And one of the other 5 people would like adjust the copy to have like brand tone. And that's how that worked. And then after a little bit, a couple weeks, months, however long, I don't remember, they just stopped responding and I just kept posting, and it was like, at one point it was like, do 5 a day, do 5 posts a day. We're like, okay. And it was like, do 3 organic, 2 product posts, like all this crap. And like, you just kind of like learn. So for me, yeah, it was just like, I moved cross country to do this job. This is the coolest job I've ever had in my life. I'm going to do a good job at it.
Many of you might not know this, but away from the recordings that I do in my van studios, I've actually got a digital marketing agency. Now, we specialise in a lot of automotive clients, but we cover everything really. Our team is made up of PPC specialists, SEO specialists, and the most talented designers I've ever seen, which have done work like the Starnagloss website, the TWR website, and many more. We've actually just built Icon Box for the Auto Alex crew as well, meaning that people that watch their channel can buy their favourite merch seamlessly and in style. So if you're interested in starting a project and you'd love to speak to us, just tap the link below and let's hop on a call.
What was the first time that you actually appeared in the Instagram post rather than behind it?
So we used to do like, because we'd always like try to post around the shop. Because like the whole thing was like, we want to show that we have like cool cars and the brand is the people, whatever. So like we'd post my car or whatever, like, it was 7 of those, like of the 11 people, it was like 7 dudes under, 30 years old. So it was like, we have to be in some of the photos for products and stuff. So it's all kind of like, it sort of happened slowly, and then you kind of are like scared and awkward at first, and then you stop caring.
What was your first memory of meeting Ken along that journey?
First time I met Ken, we were testing his, probably one of my favorite cars, Ken cars, which was the Mark II Escort Kazi. The 70s, Escort with the the American flag hood, like, dude, with what was it, a Millington Diamond engine, 300 horsepower, 4-cylinder that revved to 9,000. So sick.
Yeah, it sounded amazing.
So I met him. We went out to Apple Valley Speedway to go do some stuff with him and Ryan Turk. And yeah, I was like so nervous to meet Ken because I was like, damn, this guy's like, he's the boss. He's like super famous, like whatever. And yeah, it was just super cool. We like drove and then sat in an RV and talked for a bit, and then we went to Chipotle at the end of the day. Like
It's
it was
those
so
moments
regular.
that we mention though that are like the most memorable in some people's journey. It can literally be something like as simple as a text message from a meal at a restaurant.
Yeah.
They're so significant when you look back on them, but at the time it's almost so insignificant.
Yeah, I remember the first time Ken Block called my cell phone. Like, I remember the day. I remember the conversation. I remember where I spoke to him. Like,
And what was it?
he called about some business stuff and at like kind of seeing if I could do some things that he needed to be done, which was like cool because I didn't really know like Ken even remembered my name. You know, I was like, I don't even know if this guy knows who I am. And like he called me and I remember I was in my apartment in Long Beach and I was just like sitting on my back patio and I was just like, whoa, fucking Ken Block called me. Like, this is crazy. You know, like, yeah, it's like just things like that, you know, really stick out in your head because it was like, it felt like such a monumental moment. Like that was like the most like notable person I've ever met in my life at that point, you know?
But if we were to fast forward and show that guy sat in Chipotle and sat on the step after that phone call, his own Ferrari in the shop behind us and like the channel and the fact that you literally did gain 60,000 subs in your first video and now north of 300, like what would he think of that?
Dude, I feel like I'm getting older now and like life is kind of crazy, right? So like I'm trying to practice gratitude more often now and like step back and think about like how much I have, not how much I want or how much other people have, because like being in LA is crazy. You know, we were joking about it before about like you come out here and everyone's got a GT3. You see an F40 on the street. Like everyone's so rich out here. And then you take another layer into that and you're like my YouTube friends or my media friends. And you're like, Amelia Hartford's a friend of mine. Damon Fryer is a friend of mine. Like all these people I'm like friends with and they're like majorly successful. So like, it's hard for you to look at like my small shop here and think like, oh, I'm doing great when your friends are like doing 20 times better, right? So just literally yesterday morning, I'm like walking my dog and I was just like looking at houses on my walk and stuff. And I was like, damn, remember a couple years ago, I could only dream about having a 2-car garage for my S14 and my E46 M3. And like now somehow that's not enough. Now I'm like, you know, I want a house with a shop on the property. I want, you know, like this shop's not even big enough because I'm already out of space. And like, you know, I have a GT3 RS and a Ferrari and a, you know, whatever. And you're like, that's crazy. Like, that's actually
being
nuts.
in LA surrounded by that though, is it kind of hard to humble yourself when
It
when
is.
stuff starts to take off like that?
What do you mean? Like how so?
Well, what you've described is the friendship group that you currently have around you with the guys that you've said, and how everybody has these cars. So I get what you mean. We're literally on the way here, and we're literally passed by a GT4 RS Manti, like then a Rolls Royce goes. And this was that's the stuff we're picking out. It's amongst a lot of other cars, thousands of other cars that are around. Do you still surround yourself, or do you just still know some of the guys that you like grew up with? Because it can be really hard when you go on different paths.
Yeah,
to,
and
like,
that's
maintain what's going on with the guys you grew up with.
yeah, and honestly, my friend group in New York is still like my best friends in the world. Like I haven't lived there in 10 years. Actually, like last week was my 10-year anniversary of living in California, and they're still like, it's like I never left. Like those are my closest friends ever. And they give me some shit for like being a internet guy, you know, like because none of them are on the internet. Like they're on the internet, but none of them are like any form of connected to social media. Like they use it just to like normal people, you know. So it's funny because like yeah, to them it's like you have all these frigging cars and doing all this nonsense, right?
But in your head, which is what I was getting at, when you compare it to the guys that are like doing the same kind of stuff for you, are you constantly still beating yourself up?
I think it's just like you gotta find the balance, right? Because it's like yeah, in some ways I'm like, I always say this to people, like even like Jolly, my media guy and friend, he you know he'll always like say stuff, and I'm like, you're always rich to some people and poor to other people. That's it. Like no matter what, you're always gonna have people to look up that are doing better than you, and then there's always gonna be tons of people who are look at you like you look at those people. And like that's at all levels of life, you know, because he'll like, it's expensive out here, right? So he'll complain sometimes about like how expensive it is and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but you've got a JZX90 that's like modded and cool. You got a sick 370Z, you got a Tundra that's modified, like you live in LA, like, you know, like to some people that is an incredible amount of wealth, you know. So I think that there's just like there's levels to it, and you have to, like, I always aspire up. I don't ever want to like drag myself down, but you also have to like appreciate and like understand like where you're at.
Have you always been content?
I don't think I'm content at all.
Really?
No, I don't think I'm content at all. I think I'm like trying to be, but I think I'm always like, what's next? What's next? What's next?
Are you a goal setter? Like, I want 500,000 subs. I want 1,000,000 subs. Like,
Yeah,
do you look at
for
it
sure.
that way?
Yeah.
Do you beat yourself up if you don't get there in a certain time frame?
Yeah, I do. But like I also I don't write any of my goals down. So you know, kind of forget to give yourself some buffer zone. But I set goals, and I just I think it's important to set goals. Like you gotta want to get places, you know? Like, I mean, loose goals. Don't be so rigid with it. Like I won't care if I don't hit certain things, but like I know I'm always like, I want to get more, I want to get more, I want to do X, Y, and Z. But the North Star that I feel like I've like fucked up with the past little bit is like I've been chasing like money, and then I've realized that the like money and happiness chart doesn't always go in the same direction. So recently I've been trying to be like, okay, like how do I find more happiness? How do I find a balance in life that lets me like enjoy life more? Because like I do great shit for work. Like this is incredible. I got to work on my Ferrari all day today. Like that's amazing. But it's kind of empty at the end of the day because it's like I work by myself. Like if Jolly's not filming, I'm like alone. You know, I don't really have like a crew like I did at Hoonigan. Like there's life outside of it all. So it's like, how do you blend all those things? So not to be like a downer, but I think that's like the reality. And a lot of people don't ever expect that because they just think like you get to do fun shit for work. Like it must be awesome. And you're like, it is.
And it's really difficult because the people that you also speak about that are also in this game and doing the videos that they're putting out and creating the content, like some people do not understand how dogged these people are. Like they work an insane amount of their life. And like I feel like so many people that are on their journey up or have started something new, have moved away from something, you can feel guilty so quickly every minute that you're not actually working on a car, and finding that balance and like finding that balance of not working and being okay with it can actually be like a really difficult thing.
Yeah. And I mean, similarly to what you're doing, you know, it's Friday night. You dragged your girlfriend here. Like it's it's an all consuming like career. Whereas like all my friends back in New York who chose the 9 to 5 life, go to work, go home.
But that life doesn't give you occasionally these moments where you're with your mates, everyone's smiling, the smoke pouring off a car.
Yeah.
There's cameras capturing the moments that one day you can show your kids and you can go home and show your dad and your family. And you sit down, you can watch a piece of content of something that you just got paid to do. And that there is what I like to call a Top Gear moment.
It's insane. Yeah. I always trip on that. Like just like the fact that some things I do are work.
What was one of the first, like, especially if you could tie it to a video of like experiences of you of that, exactly what I've just kind of described that made you,
I mean, probably all of
what the hell is this? Yeah, I
probably like the daily transmission stuff. Like we hated making that show. Like it's so funny because the whole goal of that show was to create a facade of a brand that didn't exist. So like, and what I mean by that is the goal of daily transmission was to create a world where all we did was fuck off and have fun. And that made people like the brand. Because they're like, I want to work for this company where all these guys do is fuck off and have a good time and do burnouts. But the reality is we shot that show. We shot 5 episodes on Thursday afternoon, 2 to 7 p.m. roughly. And any other time we had to film, it would be like, I'm on my computer, like writing emails or like in meetings and shit. And then I'd be like, fuck, I gotta go outside and film. And be like, I gotta go and like close my computer and like walk outside and be like, all right, burnout time, let's go. So like, it was such a wild world that no one knew really existed.
What would your dad think about that? looking in? Because surely a lot of the stuff that he would see would be through the videos that you're filming, right? I'm imagining that they were watching the content putting out and thinking like, what the hell is Vin doing?
No way. My parents are super supportive. And they are just like my mom. My mom just didn't want me to move because she didn't want me to move. But she also was like, is it a real job? Do they have health insurance? And I lied and told her, yes, they didn't. I'm sorry, Mom. I lied. But we eventually got health insurance. But yeah, like my parents were just fucking stoked. Like my dad came out here to help me work on this car now, and he just kept telling me like how proud of me he is and like how awesome it is, you know? Because like to him, it's like they don't understand it. They live in a world where you get a normal job and you go to work and then you go home and that's it. That's what you do. So like they saw all that shit and they're like, oh, you look like you're having a good time. And then they come out and they're like, oh, you have a nice house. You have all these cars. You have stuff and you do this crap. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is an amazing thing. Like, so to them, it's like mind blowing that this life exists, you know?
These episodes are brought to you from the back of my studio van, which we mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, but it really would mean so much to the channel and mean that I can keep improving the guests that you see coming on going forward if you could just hit that subscribe button for me. It's totally free. I know a lot of you are listening to this rather than even watching it. But if you could just pick up your phone, tap that subscribe button, it makes the world of difference. Over 64% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel, and it would really help me if you could. So thank you.
You talk about the days vividly when you joined Hoonigan at the beginning of that story, like 11 people, remembering your first phone call from Ken, etc. Hoonigan became such an enormous global brand, such a movement, such a thing that you can't really even describe. It was merch, it was brand deals, it was green, like it was everywhere. What for you on that journey were like the heydays of that brand? Like, what was the times that you thought that like you were unbeatable, unbreakable, that there was nothing that could possibly like go wrong?
Never once.
Really?
The age old saying is I don't remember because my brain sucks, but it's like
The age old saying is, oh shit. It's like
it's like you never know the good old days when you're in them or some shit, right? What is it?
that.
It's that. It's like you never know the good old days when you're living them. It's the only thing you look back on. And Hoonigan was that a lot. A lot of times were the good old days. But in the moment, we were always like thrashing for something else. So whether it's like growth or a new project or just like busy or like we fucked something up and we're trying to fix it, like it always felt like a constant like running away from the moment. So
you only get a sense of the scale of it when you went to like some of the crazy events.
SEMA, things like that. I mean, we went to World Time Attack in Australia and like went down there and people were like losing their mind that we were there. I was like, holy shit, we're in Australia.
What was that like for you when people started losing their mind for you though? Because you're in those daily transmission videos, like it got millions of views.
And like honestly insane.
What was that like for someone that on their journey up was probably never imagining that was going to be part of their life?
I think like all things in life, it happens pretty slow. So like you get a couple like kids noticing you, you know, while you're out at the beach or riding your bike or whatever, you know, and like it kind of happens a little bit and you're like, okay, it's just car kids, you know, like small world stuff. And then it keeps happening and you're like, oh wow, this is crazy. Like, yeah, it's what makes it more polarizing is I remember my mom and my sister-in-law were out here. I don't remember why, it was just them two, but we went to like get food before one of their flights out and we were like getting lunch and some kid just like came up and was like geeked. And my sister-in-law was like, you know that kid? I was like, no. And she was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, and I just remember like thinking people who aren't in this world, when stuff like that happens, it's like insane. It actually just happened. Me and Amy went up to Guernsville, which is like nowheresville above San Francisco, like 3 hours north of San Francisco, in this like little river town. And we're with all of her friends who are like super smart people, like lawyers, doctors, like they're all like, I don't belong there. And we were walking down the street and some dude was like, "Hey man, love your videos." Like, blah, blah, blah. Was like talking to me. And they were all like, "What the hell is that?" And I was like, wow, this is so embarrassing to explain. Like, oh, well, I make videos on YouTube.
But in times like that, though, which is almost like times where you have a massive grin on your face because you can't quite believe what's going on, did you ever think that it would come to an end?
With Hoonigan? No, I didn't think about it. I didn't think it would come to an end. It felt like it was going to be forever. Like, we all thought we were like lifers. We were signed up to be there till the end of time, like ride or die shit. No one left. Like if you were in the crew and you worked and you like did the thing, like you were never going to leave. It's just life
It was
was
literally like the family from Fast and Furious.
yeah, straight up. And it wasn't like we all made, early days, made shit money, worked a ton of hours, like had no life, no friends, like just like we were the crew. That was it, And yeah, no one would have thought about leaving. You just like, that was it.
So what was the first thought for you?
Um,
Was it Ken's passing?
no, actually, after everyone thinks that, most common thing people think is Hoonigan died after Ken passed. Not true. Hoonigan was stronger than ever after Ken passed because we all felt like we owed it to Ken to make it work.
And I saw that movement, to be fair, and a lot of the stuff that was going out.
Yeah, we were all like super hyped. Everyone was like, fuck yeah, let's do this stuff. Like, we're like super into it. But we were owned by a private equity company at the time. And like, the thing is like, it's really hard to say, but you can't quantify growth with money directly in a lot of ways. So what I mean by that is like, media and like brands built like to build an audience, you have to do things that don't make financial sense to grow the brand. That makes literally no sense to business people. What do you mean grow the brand if it's not making money? You're like, no, you need to build sentiment while losing money. But to them, it's like, that's not real. You need to make money, build sentiment, sell product, convert people to the product. And you're like, no. Because like, telling someone to buy a t-shirt doesn't make them want to buy a t-shirt. Doing burnouts in a cop car with a sticker on the side of it that says Hoonigan, like, makes you want to buy the t-shirt. You know what I mean? Like, there's such a different level of thinking, and the suits of the company never really trusted the kids, which were like all of us, So it was like, that was always really tough.
Do you think it did then make it harder after Ken passed because there wasn't also this great big voice of trust that those members maybe had?
Yeah, I think it was really like Brian fought for the company a lot. Like Brian fought the CEOs and the board and stuff for the crap we wanted to do at Hoonigan. And then when he lost Ken, it was like losing someone on your side, So he kind of got overran a lot more, and then it kind of like crumbled from there.
I hate to ask you, but like, how did you find out that had happened? And like, from someone that you become so close to and you so vividly remember even your first moment of a phone call from the guy, like he was so talented. Like the last person I had in this van on this trip was Larry Chen, and I've actually got his new book over there. There is this 2-page photo that Larry has taken, and it is Ken drifting Pikes Peak. And it is just the most incredible. Like, you don't even need to like see who was behind the wheel to know straight away who it was, and appreciate how big his nuts must have been, like, to be able to do stuff like that, but also how much talent he was. But like, to you guys, it was more than that because it was someone you spent time with. So like, how hard did that hit you lot?
Well, I was more worried about like Brian and Ron because they were way tighter with Ken. Like, I had a good business relationship with Ken. We were friends, but like I wasn't super, super close with him. Like I joined Hoonigan. We were in Long Beach. He was in Utah. So we'd like work together and see each other. But like Brian and Ron traveled the world with Ken because they were on his rally team for so long. So like those guys, and like Brian obviously started the company with him. So when I found out, I really was more worried about my friends and like how they were doing. We were all about to pretty much about to get in an Uber to go to Australia when we heard the news. And then it was like Hurt was at the airport. I think he had already went through security. And we were like, dude, don't get on the plane. And he was like, holy fuck. Like, and
Well,
like
what do
left.
we do? Yeah.
Yeah, we were like, oh, like no one expected that because like the thing about Ken that made his passing shocking was Ken never got hurt. So like we work with Travis Pastrana a lot. Travis gets hurt all the time. Travis has broken like every bone in his body. He is like destroyed. Like his
90
body
lives,
is
yeah.
destroyed because he's so extreme. But he does get hurt often. Ken was like the opposite because Ken was like, I don't even like jumping cars. He's like, it's like doing big jumps is like stupid. He's like, I don't want to do any of that. I'd rather do precision driving. Like Ken never got hurt. So for him to like go out that way was like a big shock to people because he was very like not practical, but he was very like, you know, calculated in what he was doing. Yeah.
It's insane when you see a picture like that to describe somebody as a calculated risk
It's
taker.
with age comes a cage thing. Like he felt like cars were safe because cars have roll cages. You have a Hans device, you have harnesses, you have seats, you know, like you have a way bigger chance of surviving like a crazy car crash. I mean, that corner, if you don't know much about Pikes Peak, that's called Evo Corner because the crash there was
the Evo going off the cliff.
The Evo going off the cliff and rolled like 100 times. The guy got out, like walked away, I think. He didn't
just stroll off.
But he stroll off, but he like wasn't horribly injured.
He has the same aura as Travis.
Yeah. Yeah.
If Ken was still around and Hoonigan was still what it was when you kind of described those moments like drift and Evo corner, do you still think that you would be there?
Maybe. So Hoonigan, Wheel Pros like bought up a whole lot of businesses and stuff. Throttle being one of them. Throttle like builds cars. They have 3 million subscribers on YouTube. They got out and got sold to another company and then they're like doing well again. I think if Ken and Brian stuck it out, maybe we would have eventually broke out of Wheel Pros and went somewhere else, like a more fitting company. And then maybe it could have like restored, but it felt like a lot of damage had been done. And like the more things that go wrong, you're kind of like, you get sour, everyone gets sour.
And was the things going wrong the most just like the restraint on the team being allowed to do what the team had always done to make it work?
Honestly, it's kind of like movie stuff. Like it's like where you'd see like a TV show. Like everyone just started to hate each other. Like the big business politics were like, you know, people pitting people against each other because they wanted to break up friendships and stuff because they didn't like that. Like we were this like clique that was a small business that got bought. And then like, they didn't like that we all like operated together, you know? So like they were trying to make us all like hate each other. And like, it was all just like, it turned into this like place where you used to go and be with these people who you loved and had a great time to like, you just had like resentment for everyone there. Cause like everything was a plot line for this like greater business thing. So I don't know. I feel like maybe it wouldn't have like came back. Like it felt like we got so damaged and like we all left and then like all of us became better friends again, you know? Like,
because the thing that really resonates from like what you've said about that story is the fact that after Ken's passing, there was this momentum to kind of make him proud, make it even stronger, even better. I think that's really key that you said, like, most people think it was the Ken thing that triggered me to leave, but in reality it wasn't that at all because we were all actually really positive. So you guys were like positive about what it could become, but it just become too much in the end.
Well, no. So we were like, okay, it's a perfect time. We're gonna do Gymkhana Grid, Ken blocks, Gymkhana Grid, which is like it's like racing. It's like timed head-to-head drifting, but it's really specific how it has to get done to be interesting, and it's an expensive thing to do, and we really wanted to do it. And as you know, doing things like that, it would be like probably a year or two of like breaking even in the red, maybe in the black, and they just kept putting it off, and then just like canceled it, and we were all like, like this is it, you know, like if we can't do this one thing that we're all passionate about that we think will bring the brand to the next level, which would be like starting a motorsport series, then like it's all dead to us. Like we don't want to keep doing this versus that drag racing shows. Like we've done 200 of them already. Like if you guys just want to keep doing the cheap stuff that gets the views, like that's a ticking time bomb.
Had other people like peeled off before you triggered yourself to go as well?
Hurt left first. He had an opportunity to be on a Hot Wheels show, and at the same time had like got a partnership with T-Pain to do some stuff. So he had an exit. So he left like a month before me. But we kind of like Hurt had like a soft leave because of the TV show. Then he came back for a little bit and then he left. And then I left. Then Brian left, then Ron left, then
what was the time
Zach.
between like you actually leaving and kind of putting that chapter to bed and thinking, right, I'm going to go do something else now, and you putting that video live, which essentially sparked the whole of this new journey that you're now on? That limbo period before going around that holiday, essentially, like, what did that feel like to you?
I put that video up while I was still like going into work. I didn't even tell like the CMO at the time. He was like, probably one of the main reasons why Hoonigan crumbled. He was like, saw your video. I was like, yeah, it's doing pretty good, huh?
Okay, so that was that bad. So did you put that video live before you actually handed your notice in?
No, I put my notice in. I was like, oh, end of the year.
But but you were still working like your garden leave and stuff.
I told them that end of the year was like, I was leaving in January, and I put that video up like December or something. And I was just like,
awkward.
I didn't care because at that point, I mean, like, I was going into the office for like 3 hours a day. They had closed down Tire Slayer Studios without telling the audience. Like, we had this like remote corporate office somewhere, and I just never used to go in because I'm like, this place is dead. This is over. Like, I got to plan my exit, and I'm like, which I wasn't doing. I was really just like taking time off to fuck off, but. Like, I would straight up go into the office at 11 and leave at 2. Like, I feel like going for one meeting, and I would just be like, go to lunch and never come back. I'm like, this player, because I was like, this is over. Like, this isn't working,
But in your video, you were like super amicable about the whole thing. Like, you tried to be super respectful. In reality now, like,
I care less.
Going back, would you have put some extra stuff in there? Like
no.
that you said today about like why
No, because a lot of people I liked work there still, and I didn't feel like it needed to be like aired out, like I'm like, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this as like PG as possible. No one needs to know all the dirt, But then as time goes and like things get worse and worse and they fire all the people that I know and care about, I'm like, I don't really give a shit anymore. Like they screwed the whole thing up. I'm sour about it. They took something I loved and ruined it, So
let's get on to your own journey, your own cars then, because again, a misconception that I think a lot of us Brits have is that every American just loves stuff with 1 million horsepower that goes in a straight line, don't really care about corners unless it's drifted.
Yeah.
And I've met someone that I think has so many similarities with me and the cars that I love, because you have a GT3, you literally have a Ferrari, and they are two of my favourite car brands.
Nice.
Well, Porsche and Ferrari. Like, so what gets like your gears ticking? Buying your GT3, like, how insane was that for you?
Oh, dude, that was like nuts. I bought my first GT3 while I was on a conference call at Hoonigan on Bring a Trailer. And then I traded that for the GT3 RS, which I never thought I would own.
Yeah, that's
like,
sick.
That car is just like my absolute halo car. So the fact that I have that now, it's like insane.
Will you ever sell that car?
If someone was to pay me like an exorbitant amount of money, I might. I've been thinking about it more recently, just because LA has fun roads, but they're all on like the outside of the city. Like where I live, it sucks. I don't drive the GT3 RS that much because it's like I just live in a trafficy like grid area with no fun roads. So I'm like, that car to me is so special and so fun to drive that I'm like, that goes out when I'm gonna go driving. Like I'll drive it to like the store or like to go get coffee or something, and I'm just like, this isn't what this is for.
What got you into that style of cars? Because like, I see you out at the ring recently as well with shows for the channel, like hitting up the ring in all the crazy cars. And 911s obviously are like the thing.
It's the thing, man.
There's like a GT3 RS, every movement of your eyeballs at the rear.
Yeah.
What got you into that stuff rather than just like the crazy Mustang with the 1,000,000 horsepower engine?
I was into Volkswagens as a kid, so we were into like show cars and straight line performance. So we'd build like drag cars, even though they ran like 12s. So that was really what we were into. And then once we got out of the whole like stance thing, I got into more like grip performance, like Evos, STIs, M3s, things like that, and just really enjoyed like grip driving. I always thought drifting was cool, but never could afford it, which is funny because like you would think like having a, you know, like a track car or whatever would be more expensive than a drift car, but you're like, drifting is such a consumable hobby, so I couldn't afford it when I was younger, so I just like didn't do it. And yeah, and that's kind of like what built my love for it. And then obviously Porsche was always like the top of it. You know, I never really cared about Ferraris that much. Like it always seemed like too bougie, too pretentious for me. Like I loved the way they sounded, but I was just like, not for me. But then like Porsche always felt like the less pretentious sports car, you know? So
But the thing with Porsche is, and I mentioned this with Cav from Starnagloss, it's quite like a really cool detailing brand from the UK. And we spoke about this the other day. It's like, I feel like BMW has always been cool. Like the M3 has always been cool. No matter kind of what iteration, there's something cool about them. And we said, like, we sat here like, when did Porsche become cool?
2014.
It did, because it suddenly happened. Because like I think back to the early Top Gears of like them taking the mick out of Hammond and May, like Clarkson used to, about like the midlife crisis stuff. And it was always like in such dull specs that they'd have on there. It'd be like a Panamera in champagne with 16-inch wheels. It's just like, hang on, when did like all the like 22-year-olds start choosing like Porsche?
I'm telling you, so I went to the first two Luftacolts, 2014, 2015, and I was like, wow, this is like pretty cool. And I always thought Porsches were like cool, but didn't really care that much about them. Like going to autocross, there was a dude with a white 997 GT3 with a trailer. Like he used to like trailer his tires there. That shit was sick. And I was like, that's cool. And then I kind of saw the progression of like air-cooled 911s get crazy. And I always loved the 997, 991 generation GT3 RSs. But I eventually bought an air-cooled car, built like a RSR, built like an RSR IROC style, like air-cooled 911 SC. It was fun, but it's kind of like slow. It felt like kind of a cross between like an AE86 and like, you know, like a GTI or something. Like it just wasn't, it just wasn't really super exciting for me. And then I had bought like an NA1 NSX at the time, and I was like, ooh, I like the NSX better. So I sold so I sold the 911, and then I bought the GT3 because that was like the car I always had been looking for. And I would follow the market on those things. And I remember just seeing one sell, had like 80,000 miles on it and sold for like over 100 grand. And I was like, that's it. Never getting one. They got too expensive. This is it. And then, yeah, when I was like making good money at Hoonigan, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to buy it. Like, this is like, I work a miserable job where I make a lot of money. Like, I'm getting my dream car.
Which is insane because you bought that car while in Hoonigan. So it almost amplifies how big of a decision that was to hand in your notice, leave, without really knowing exactly what you were doing because that video hadn't taken off. You still had to go on holiday before, didn't you?
Right? Like 6 or 8 months before.
This is what I'm saying. Like, you're in a position then to be able to do that stuff, yet you had to make the decision to kind of stop that income stream, start from scratch again. Like,
dude, I made
so scary.
I made more money at Hoonigan than I ever could have imagined making in my life. Like, my annual salary was, because I did commission and stuff, so like I made a ton of money, more than I thought I'd ever make. So then when I was gonna leave that, I was like, holy fuck. But because I made commission off of partnership deals and sponsors and all this other stuff, I knew that was going to go down based on what we were doing. So I was like, well, I'm going to take a huge income loss anyways. Like, no matter what I'm going to do, I'm going to take an L. So I was like, rebuild phase. Like, you know, luckily I don't really live above my means. Like, I have some really expensive cars and stuff, but other than that, like, I'm pretty financially smart. Like, I invest my money. I don't like waste my money on a ton of shit. Like, my monthly overhead's low. So I was like, I could do it.
It's like cars are four fingers and like the rest of life is one kind of thing. How did you end up with the Ferrari?
That is a byproduct of YouTube. So I started my channel and I had like 9 cars and I was like, I need another car for the channel. Like I need to do something. I don't want to do a build content, but I need like a project.
That's what
something.
anyone thinks with 9
Yeah.
cars. It's like, I need another.
I need another one. So I had, honestly, my favorite 90s JDM car. I had a CYM FDRX7, one of 350 ever made. It was, so it was yellow.
A few of my mates lose their minds when they see those at shows.
Yeah. It was a non-sunroof, yellow, which is super, super rare. Single turbo, Haltech, like the absolute perfect FDRX7. I sold that and I bought this. Well, actually, I bought this first and then I sold that, but like that was my sacrificial lamb.
So did you buy this for the algorithm or do you still love this?
Oh, I love this car. I bought it because I was like buying a cheap, shitty Ferrari and like buying a Ferrari for less than I sold my 93 Mazda
But
for.
why do you say cheap, shitty Ferrari? Because there are so many that can't necessarily get into one. Is that because you spend your life around the people that are like able to buy the F40s?
I paid like
5%?
47 grand for that thing. So, and this is a thing for all you haters out there. I'm not saying 47 grand is a cheap car. I'm saying 47 grand is cheap for a Ferrari. Because like I always call it a cheap Ferrari and people are like, oh, rich guy calling a Ferrari cheap. And I'm like, no. It's cheap for what it is.
To be fair, in the UK, I'm not sure you could quite pick up a 360 like that for that amount.
It was a great deal. Absolutely great deal. It was like, I mean, it was gold on tan.
Unless it was Auto Alex's one that Dips just bought.
Oh, mine was, it was gold on tan, automatic, with 40 something thousand miles on it. So it, you know, and it needed some love.
And what's the plan for that car? Like, I know you've been doing stuff. I know you've literally changed the color of the paint, etc. But what's the finished?
This is it. Done. Voila. Put an interior in it. I got different wheels.
So that's literally done.
Never gonna do anything to it.
So then is your mind already at the next build, and the next build?
No.
Is that what YouTube does to you?
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, dude, twin turbo it, do this, do that. And I'm like, no. You don't need the 360 to make 800 horsepower. It makes 400 horsepower. It weighs right at 3,000 pounds. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun that I would not change a single thing on it to make it make more power. Like, it's like, for what reason? If I want a faster car, I'll get a GTR.
So then what is the goal with the channel? Like, because you sat there, finished a build, thinking about the next build. Like, where is the point that you would be content? You've done all this stuff and say that you're not content. So where is the point of contentment?
I actually don't know. So I have been thinking about this a lot recently, and I don't really know where to go with it. So my other friend of mine, James Pumphrey, Speed, we talked about this too. And it's like, he's like, you know, if you asked me to define my channel, I don't really know yet. And I kind of feel the same way because I'm like, I don't really know where I want to go with it because I'm like going through things right now. I'm like, I don't want to build cars. What I like doesn't work for YouTube. Like, it's not going to be viral. I don't want to build YouTube cars. I don't want to get into like buying crashed cars and rebuilding them because like I don't have the resources like, you know, like Matt Armstrong or like Tavares or anything. Like, I don't know if I want to get into that space. So I'm like, what do I like doing? I like buying and selling cars. I like teaching people about like how to get things for less money, how to like wheel and deal stuff, like how to sniff out good deals, how to like work your way into the cars you want. So I'm thinking I'm going to try to like lean more into that. And then the other side of it is do more like storytelling stuff. So like if I want to pick a single object and like talk about that for an episode. So we'll do things like, you know, whatever episodes about like, we did an episode with Scotto and it was like, I called it like short form podcast, which was like, take a topic, which was like building cars for the internet that suck in real life. And we did that. And I thought that did really well, you know, and then it's like with JP, we did an episode and it was like, how hard is it to modify a car in Germany? Tell us about it, you know, and like kind of do things like that. So I don't know. I think I got to like find my niche. I want to kind of like I would love to get to like a Matt Armstrong level or something, but I don't know what that is that I can do that would be like that viral, you know?
I think it'd be insane to so many people listening, and especially so many young people listening, that someone that gets recognized in public and that has got literally a GT3 and a Ferrari and a family and like has put together this whole world, yet can still be a little bit lost on the current outcome of
Totally.
what's going on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I think like I was just watching the Liver King documentary, and like that dude is like a lunatic, and you're like you really have to be crazy enough to like lose yourself in yourself to just like become an internet personality, to be like viral doing something you don't want to do. But if you want to just be like an honest person who like is a normal dude, like think of like Doug DeMuro or something, you know, he's just like a dude that like reviews cars because he likes it, then you just have to like find your niche and like how do you like differentiate yourself?
Honestly, before Doug, the first person that I used to watch all the time, and like I'd love to actually have him on. I have no idea where he's gone. But do you remember the guy Saab Kyle 04? Like
No.
he'd literally do a review of any car that came out at a dealership, and it'd be like it's the way in to see every button and nook and cranny ever. And then he just vanished. Do you think he built like 8 million subs, like sold the channel and just
Whoa.
vanished? Like, and he barely put his face on camera, but he was just a dude that loves cars, which
That's
in
great.
reality is what we all are.
Yeah, because I think like you look at like Matt Armstrong, which like no one has come up quicker, it seems, than him. Like, holy crap, you know, like last 2 years been like insane. But he's just like a dude, like doing a thing. But I feel like I don't know him at all, but I feel like he seems like he's doing what he likes, and it just so happens that like a couple things hit, and then he just like went over the top with doing the thing he likes, you know?
Yeah, I'd say from knowing Matt, that's probably true. But I've never met anybody that works the level of hours that Matt does on their channel. Like obsessed. Like the way people describe Mr. Beast is like what I see
Yeah,
with Matt.
yeah.
But it's been insane to hear your story and how you got to where you are today, all the crazy times through Hoonigan and everything in between, because to someone on the outside that everybody thinks must be lapping up the success, it's insane to also hear like where life can take you. So Vin, thank you for coming
Dude,
on
thanks for having me.
letting me know your story, letting everyone else know your story. And if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to hit the like button. Don't forget to tap that subscribe button, and we will see you again soon.